Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for Thursday, the 21st day of January 2021. Well, we have a new president, a new female vice president. Yay. That just makes my heart fill to know that we did that and that we said no to a dictator. That was good. And now we're headed in a different direction. So we'll see, I guess Dr. Fauci was at or is at the World Health Organization meeting or something today. We've gotten back into that. So I think that we're going to see some changes, maybe some speeding up of the vaccines, getting them hopefully, since we don't have any in reserve like they said we did. So, I think, Monday's reading, we had the King of Pentacles, Strength, and the Seven of Wands, but we also had Birkenau for the rune, the Elder Futhark rune. I'm starting to drop cards already here. We had Birkenau, we also had Tristitia for the Geomancy rune, and the reading itself could have been read in a variety of different ways. But if we bring it back to Birkenau, that's the Earth Mother rune. It's fertility, it's healing, it's bringing projects to fruition. We also had a 9 energy for that day, so you could think endings or completion, but in a humanitarian. But in terms of individual expression, it'd be it would be the number of the humanitarian within. So if you're looking at the King of Pentacles, you're seeing a king that has his back to the kingdom, and he's not at all concerned. He's concerned only with his own wealth, his own abundance, but not the abundance of others. Certainly not the abundance of the kingdom. And then you see Strength, where we're taming the wild within, basically. So maybe we're taming that, learning to show some compassion towards others. The Seven of Wands was last, and that was courage, standing one's ground, which, if we're talking about how we're dealing with the virus, we could simply be talking about people that will wear a mask and who won't. And hopefully now, and I don't know, it may be too late. People have their opinions now, and it's based on likely the guy they voted for and didn't win, right? So are they going to now listen to reason? Are they going to now listen to the truth? If over 400,000 people who have died doesn't get people to sit up and take notice, I don't think anything's going to. That's kind of where we're at right now. It's going to take some awakening on the parts of people who are being unsafe around others to switch that around to something more realistic. So standing one's ground, it could just simply be, instead of that, it could also be managing one's own will, right? So it seems to me that realistically what Monday's reading was probably more about was about the fact that at some point you have to understand that you can't turn your back to people that are in need. And in this case, it's the need of we'd like to just all stay alive. We'd like to stay well. People that get this, you take a look at their lungs, even if they're not, they didn't get real sick. You look at the films of their lungs, and apparently it's worse than now they're saying than any smoker's lungs. I've seen the pictures of what a healthy lungs look like, what someone who smoked all their life looks like, and now what COVID lungs look like. Google that, and you'll, if you haven't seen some of those pictures, but they're striking, and the difference is stark. So I really think that whatever this virus actually is, what the true reality of it is. In other words, what kind of complications can we expect, and how does it really manifest in the body, and what's really going on when it does. We need to know that. And the outlook doesn't look good for some people, especially and I was going to say especially in the long haulers, but I'm not even so sure that it's them. I don't think we know what we need to know yet about this. I think we know some things, but I think they're still discovering, You know, everybody's different, and how a virus is going to present is going to be similar, but maybe there's some stark differences between, you know, and between one person and another. And if there's a whole bunch of those people, well, we need to know that, and we need to be aware of what could happen. And then maybe then some people who aren't making excuse me, the best decisions right now in terms of staying safe and wearing masks and distancing and all of that, maybe you'll start to see a shift there with them. But it would have been better if that could have happened from the get-go. But we didn't have the government at the time that was going to be honest with people. And so that's the main problem here. We're dealing with lies. You know, we're just dealing with lies. And unfortunately, it's sent some people off a cliff. And that's not good, right? So anyway, so I think that's, you know, so when we look at today's reading, let's just keep this idea in mind of the battle of the will. And are you going to, you know, tame the ego within so that you can listen to the truth? Or are you going to continue to be like the King of Pentacles and turn your back to those that need you to make a better choice, right? So let's just keep that in mind from Monday. Today's rune is Perthro. Let me get my notes here up on the screen here. Perthro is the it's basically fate and how we deal with fate. It's thought to be it represents the well of word. It represents the well from which the runes were pulled to then give to Odin as he's hanging upside down from the world tree to gain enlightenment. And he got them from the Norns, right? Well, so basically, Perthro is thought in one sense to be the who guides man's fate? Is it the Norns that are guiding your fate? In other words, some external entity, or are you guiding your own? And basically, it's also thought to be synchronicity, the cup from which the dice are tossed or the runes are cast. So there you have the cup there, or the rune bag. so, and I don't toss them. I set the intention and put my hand in and let. Whatever's left is the rune, right? So I'm not tossing anything here. I'm drawing them gently out. But realistically, you know, here is open to birth, here is open to death. And again, this is the cauldron. This is manifestation, manifesting fate. But here, you know, we're really talking about, are we going to control our fate, or are we going to allow someone else to do that, or misperception to do that? Let's go ahead and look at what the geomancy rune is for today. Let's see what we have. We have a single dot for fire, 2 for, is it Tristitia? I think so. So or not Tristitia, but Laetitia. We had Tristitia last time. Yeah, we have Laetitia, so it's complement today. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. Monday is Tristitia. Thursday is Laetitia. So we've gone from sadness to joy. So that's good. Maybe it was that inauguration thing that happened yesterday. If you guys watched the special where they had the concert and all that? That was very cool. All of it was very cool. There was I don't know the name, but it was sort of a jazzy, bluesy group toward the end of it. Oh my God, they were good. And then, but what I really thought was cool was when they had all the different people from Broadway, and they were out and they were all singing together. It was just the coolest thing, I thought it was. My husband and I just sat there in tears. It was just, we were just overcome by the whole day's events. So, I mean, and then to see when they brought the cameras back to the Oval Office, or wherever they were, there in the White House, the first family, President Biden's got his grandchild holding him, and he and Dr. Biden are dancing with the baby, while they're watching Katy Perry, and oh my God. Love and family has returned to the White House. So for me, it was just the best day ever. So, because the last 4 years have been so difficult, just so difficult to sit back and watch and worry and know that bad things are happening and that the truth is being prevented from coming out. And but the worst of it, of course, was watching and hearing the lies told about COVID. That was just shameful. So I don't know. I don't think we'll be having that anymore, which is nice. I mean, it's nice to not have to worry about such things. And that you're going to get the truth now about everything. Anyhow, oops, throwing cards. So last time I just went ahead and laid down 3 cards instead of taking the 13th one each time like I do. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that again today. Although I have to tell you, it feels strange to not talk about one card before I do another one. So today we have the 5 of Swords. Yeah, that's I don't like that card. That just always gives me a bad feeling. It kind of represents, here we're on a new journey. The 6 of Wands. And here we're getting back to work. The 8 of Pentacles. So that's what we're looking at today. Oh, Laetitia. I will show you what that one is. So that's Tristitia. Here's Laetitia. Although all I have to do is turn it upside down. This was Laetitia, or Tristitia. This is Laetitia. This is the Joy. Whereas, again, Monday's was Tristitia, which is sadness and loss and all of that. Well, Amicio is more loss. But, I mean, when you're thinking about sadness, you think about loss. So I just sort of look at them in similar ways, but not exactly. Amicio can be, loss of finances or just the decrease of something. Whereas Tristitia is more sadness, and that type of loss when you're dealing with grief and all of that. But with Laetitia, it's a more joyful type of experience. And so fate tied to something like that, are we going to manifest joy in our lives? Are we going to, continue to manifest, the confusion and the sadness and the vitriol and all of that could be found in Tristitia on Monday. And I think, today we have a 3 energy for the day, for the 21st. Tomorrow, of course, is going to be a master number 22. That's profound soul level manifestation. And so we're going to see more truth, see more reality come in. And how are we going to manifest that? Are we going to manifest again from a divided sense? Or are we going to manifest from a unified sense? Tomorrow with the 2 and the 2, you're talking about each 2 is polarity. It's balanced polarity coming together in some kind of a manifested form. Well, today is the number for intellect and communication and collaboration and all of that. So it's also catalytic in nature. So there's a fiery aspect to the 3 as well, bringing things into alignment, mind, body, spirit. You're looking at triplicities with the 3. So I think that, we have a progression here. We have a 5, a 6, and an 8. So 6 and 8 is 14. That's a 5, and 5 is 10. That's 1. That's new beginnings. Unless we take a 4th card, we have a 1 energy for the reading today. So I don't know. I think, let's see, Perthro is the 14th rune too. So that's a 5 energy. So some change, maybe some protection, some, when you're talking about synchronicities, it also incorporates the whole Jupiter Saturn conjunction, freedom versus restriction, expansion versus self-discipline, working all of that out right now. Those are the energies that are really strong, that are still influencing us. It didn't just happen on the 21st of December. That's still going on. That same Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is still going on in terms of the planetary aspects. So we just had a really close moment, on the 21st. So closer than it's been in a long, long time. So, but with today, let's take a look at the cards. We have the Five of Swords. We see three people, three guys. Two swords are on the ground. The one guy in front here is picking up the other three. Whether or not he's going to continue to pick up the other two, we'll just make the assumption that he is. You see here, we're on the beach here, and then you see a line of demarcation here, and you see the water behind. You see the sketchy brown clouds up in the sky. He's one, the swords is the air element. And so what comes into the air element, instead of just simply intellect and balance and reason and justice and fairness and, letting things settle out, the scales is a perfect example. The number 7 is a perfect example of that. Here we have a change with the 5. And so there's been a change in the communication. And one guy, because you've got the sketchy brown clouds, whatever, happiness this guy has at winning the argument, he did it through deceptive means. You see this guy here who's focused on this one here, who's holding his head, who's quite bereft because he's lost. He's lost this battle of wits, this battle of will, or not battle of will, battle of intellect. Whereas, the 7 of Wands on Monday could be thought to be, instead of just standing your ground and against all these wands or these staffs that are coming up at you, realistically, are you battling your own will, the own inner will, and the will's nature to try to it's that moment where you really don't know which way to go. Maybe your worst desires are trying to get you to do stuff that you shouldn't be doing, and then the other one, like the angel on your shoulder, is going, no, don't do that. It's that inner struggle that we have over how are we going to express our will today? Are we going to do it in a way that's helpful, or are we going to do it in a way that's self-dealing, right? But here, the battle's been won, but at what cost? So, and obviously, because you don't see a solid sky of sketchy brownness, the clouds are beginning to dissipate. They understand what just happened. And this guy in the front here holding the swords is just a little too pleased with himself that he got one over on these other people. And that's what this always reminds me of. It's like, well, they've gotten something over on these other two. Or at minimum, the one closest to the water. Because you can see the emotions are still in play because the water's not completely smooth. It's not crystal smooth. You can still see movement in the water. So, maybe more clarity is even coming forth as the clouds dissipate. So, but here, as the truth starts to come out in the 5, we have the king coming back from the battle, or the knight coming back from the battle, but it's likely the king with a holding his staff in his hand with a wreath on it. And also one on his head. And you see everybody coming into, we probably need a card between this one and this one, right? To kind of see, and maybe we'll take one here. But right away I can see there needs to be something that's happened to then create this. But you could just say, well, there was a battle where, some truth finally came out. And we know who the one who was the bad guy, basically. We know who that is now. Or if you don't look at this guy with an evil intent, maybe the truth has finally come out, and the other ones are the ones who were the ones that were the deceptive side. We can look at it that way. If we do that, we probably don't need another card. And so the clouds of delusion now are actually, things are becoming clear. So the battle is won, and truth has prevailed. We can look at it that way. I usually don't look at it that way, but with the progression of this reading, you have to do that. You have to And there's lots of ways, in other words, there's lots of ways, positive and negative ways to look at these cards. And a lot of it depends on what the other cards are. There's some where it can mean growth and fruition, or it could mean, depending on the rest of the cards, that you're going to have a birth of a child. So you see what I mean? It's kind of along the same lines, but maybe going off in different directions. But if this is how we want to read this today, that the clouds are dissipating and truth is starting to come out, and the other one might be bereft, but that's because he's been found out. So we're picking up the swords, and we're focusing a little more on truth. And then from there we go forward in shared purpose and shared direction, victorious finally. That the battle of wills has been won, basically. And we can all get back to work. This is a sense of progressive manifestation, progressive wealth, see, basically he's building his wealth. You see it going upward. So he's building his wealth in the Eight of Pentacles. Eight is about mastery. And whether you're talking about physical mastery of your craft, of your business, of your trade, your skill set, whatever, or it's also talking about spiritual mastery. I always liken the 8 to the rune Tiwaz, which is the 17th rune of the Elder Futhark. That's an 8 energy. And there you're talking about the spiritual warrior. So the 8 can have to do with all kinds of things here. But here we're talking about mastery. And building one's wealth by working one's trade. So if we look at this from the standpoint of Monday's reading, where we're working off of Birkenau and Trestitia, and then it looks like then that the cards were really modifying that and giving more information about the runes, which is how I actually like to do these. I kind of like the runes to set the tone for the reading, and then the cards fill in the blanks, basically. But there, you're talking about the battle of one's own will, really, and figuring out, do you want to be in service to others or just service to self? How are you manifesting that will? And part of that, inherent in that, if you choose wrongly and you're choosing the service to self, then deception and delusion and all of that is going to be part of that, right? Because you're going to keep it all for you. And everything you do is for you. And you're not really going to tell anybody that that's what you're doing. Maybe you're going to give them the impression you actually care about them, right? When in reality, all you're doing is for yourself. And then they're standing there going, oh, really? Well, what do we do now, right? So on Monday, basically, we're dealing with how do we express that sort of how are we going to then express the will? Well, then come here to Thursday, maybe it's in service of the truth and in justice and in fairness. And so now, if you're looking, even if you're looking back to what happened on the 6th, when we had the insurrection and the sedition, we're going to start to see some truth come out about all the things that were going on up until this point, where we can now go off in a new direction. Well, now we got to figure out what happened, right? And right the ship. So some of that was going on last night. Now, when he was signing executive orders to undo some of the damage that was done, and get the right people in the positions that they can then, let everybody know, okay, this is what was really going on, folks, and now we need to now deal with it, either civilly, criminally, whatever, and now we're going to move on, right? And we can all get back to life as we knew it before all this nonsense started. We go forward in a shared direction with the 6. In victory, because the truth is now taking hold again. And we can all get back to work, right? Because if you can get a hold of the virus, if you can get the vaccinations going, it's got to be a multi-pronged approach, though, right? In terms of how we deal with that. We can't just say, oh, well, rely on the vaccine, because that's not going to do it. It's going to help. It's going to get us there, but it's not the sole answer, right? And so as we go forward with, after we get both vaccines and all of that, we're still wearing masks because we're not sure yet, right? We need other things to happen before we can feel comfortable enough to not wear that protection when we're around people, to where we can truly have life go back to normal. So we're still in that process because we never did it right to begin with. So now we get to play catch up. So maybe the vaccines were, it was always going to be this way. Once you get them, you're still wearing masks for a while, till everybody's got it. And we're sure that some level of immunity is taking hold so that you don't get this and die from it, right? So maybe we're still talking about that. But now we're just in a position where the groundwork is being laid for us to now be able to confidently do that, right? That's the funny thing about truth. And again, we were talking on Monday that if this is not about what's happening collectively, and this is simply about what's going on in your personal life, maybe you've got someone in your household, a parent that is just not, or a partner who's not, focused on the family unit, and they're focused on just doing their own thing, and it's putting the family itself at risk. So in that case, the battle of will that person's going to experience is understanding that they're not the only person in the equation, that there are other people in the family that depend on them. And if that was you that we're talking about, then you need to take a look at how you expressed that authority in your life. Are you doing it in a way that benefits other people? Whether it's about your family or your neighbors. And unfortunately, the thing that we're all dealing with right now is staying safe from the virus. You can look at the other political crap that's been going on. That's influencing that, but that really is not the true issue at hand. The true issue is how do we heal the country? There's the division that's going on between us as well. That also is part of that choice to not wear a mask. It's I'm on this side of the equation, and we need you to be on this side, the side of truth, right? So we need people to realize that what was going on and the perceptions that they had, the beliefs, the ideology, whatever you want to call it, is faulty and it's not based in truth. And so basically they got taken down the rabbit hole, right? And into something that is counterproductive. Whether you're talking about healing, and with Birkenau last time, whether we're talking about healing the rift in families that is so big now. You have some people literally who have gone down the rabbit hole of deception so deeply that they don't have anything to do with their families anymore, and their families are they're horrified by what's happened to this loved one. It's like going into a cult. When you see your child go into a cult and you don't see them anymore. There was a movement where they would then go and kidnap them, right? They'd hire somebody to go kidnap and deprogram their child. That's kind of where I think we are right now. There has to be a certain level of deprogramming of those that bought into the con, and they're just standing around going, what just happened? We expected X, Y, and Z to happen, and it did not happen, right? The clouds are dissipating. And as hard as it is, we can be confident in the truth of things. And the more of it that comes out, the more the clouds will then whiten up here and not be the sketchy brown, because the brown color simply, in my view, denotes or describes a lack of clarity. And so here you have you can see the sky that's visible now, whereas maybe it was just all dark clouds before while the deception was going on, and now the truth is finally coming out. Again, it's not usually the way I interpret this card, but it can be interpreted that way. But right now, I think with today's reading, we have to do that. The truth is being revealed. Clarity is coming back. And as difficult as it might be, this might be describing, that whole scenario here, where the con that was bought into, people are starting to realize that that's in fact what happened. And although we have to take responsibility for what we believe, sometimes you get caught up in things, and it's not something that is really so much of a choice as much as it is you've got somebody who's doing it to you, who's deliberately spreading lies that they want you to believe and buy into, and none of it's even remotely true. I think what was it yesterday or the day before? Maybe it was yesterday. Mitch McConnell said on the Senate floor that the country was lied to, and not just by the president, but by members in authority. So he's talking about members of Congress lied to people. The election was not fraudulent, in other words, and that's what he was talking about. That the election was not at all fraudulent. That Joe Biden actually did win, and all of he didn't win, the election was stolen, that was all a lie. You see, it was all a lie. Given by someone who simply wanted to stay there, which was not going to happen. You see, there was no election fraud at all, and yet that was the lie. And I think that's basically what Senator McConnell was trying to say, is that the country's gone through this big fat lie. Well, it's not just about the election. It's about all kinds of things, right? Whether it was about the Mueller report, whether that investigation. No. He did all the things they said he did. So I don't know, I'm sorry. I know he doesn't want anyone to think that, but it's true. And once all of it's truly out, we're going to see just exactly what they found about him. So you can only redact for so long. Eventually, the truth's going to come out, right? And I think that's really, collectively, we've been coping with it. And normally, see, stuff like that, politics, well, we all have our political beliefs, and you might think everyone else is an idiot or whatever for thinking the way they do. And trust me, they think the same of you. So we just all go along like that, and rib each other a little bit about this and that, or maybe we don't say anything at all. But we all know that we all have our own belief systems. But until this last guy, it's never interfered in our lives this much, right? Where families have been destroyed. So part of Monday's reading was also, how do we heal the family? And again, I think we heal it with truth. And this is the truth being, the clouds of deception are scattering, and this guy's picking up the pieces, happy that the truth is finally out there. So we'll look at it that way. It's hard because I don't want to look at it that way. I don't like this card. I just feel like it's, somebody took advantage. But in reality, I think what's happening here is that the truth is finally being revealed. So now I'm just going to have that in my head every time I draw this doggone card. It's like, okay. Well, it's like the Seven of Swords. I used to think of that as theft of intellectual property because I'm a writer, right? So automatically I'm thinking, oh, theft of intellectual property. But in reality, it's likely more that it's leveling the playing field. See, it's a little bit better. So you see it from your own perspective a lot of the time. But again, here, after the truth comes out, we can then go forward in shared purpose and shared direction. And actually get back to building our future. So again, it all hinges on truth, and if it's what we're dealing with collectively, it's so important that we know what really happened. We know what the truth really is, so we can make the better decisions going forward. If it's about what's happening in your personal life, again, there was something that was going on, and now the truth is coming out. And so use that instead of, and maybe, you can use that to rebuild the relationships that have been torn apart by deception and lies. All right. Maybe you can start to use that truth to bring back together the family, or bring back together your friendships, or to reestablish a connection with your neighbors. Because we must go forward in unity now, no matter how hard that might feel. No matter how angry that might make you, because believe me, it makes me quite angry. I don't want to go forward in unity with anybody that pulled that crap. I really don't. But the problem is it isn't up to me to change my perception about what the truth is. It's up to them. And all you need to do is have your heart remain open to them figuring it out and wanting to come back and be part of the group again and be part of the family again. That's really all you have to do. And keep your mind on the path forward. Keep your focus on the path forward. So for those people struggling with that, and my husband is, because let's face it, when you're on the liberal side of things all the time, you hear a lot of nasty comments about liberals. And none of it's true, all right? But yet it's what people have to say so that they can continue to demonize a group of people who might have a better answer and a better path forward for the country and for how we do things. I mean, could you imagine, simply just having a decision based on what's the best solution, instead of having to cope with all the lies being told about the different solutions offered? In other words, if the conservative side has a solution and it's better than the liberal side, then the conservative side, we get to do that, right? If a more conservative approach, whatever that is, I don't even know what any of it means anymore, really, because it's gotten so distorted, right? Over the years, liberals are evil, liberals are the devil, liberals are, blah, 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 right? No. We just want to elevate society. We just want to do good things for people. We're about equality and family and going forward and shared purpose and direction. Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, we're one energy in source presence. Why wouldn't we want to do that, right? Well, you got the other side going, no, personal sovereignty, me. No. That doesn't work, see? It doesn't work. Because then everybody's going in their own direction. And nobody goes anywhere together. We don't accomplish anything, right? So, I don't know. It's a perspective. And it's not an evil one. So whatever you've been told, it's not true, right? But that's the dichotomy that we're dealing with right now. It's this either or dichotomy, and it should just simply be shades of gray. It's like, oh, well, okay, we think this is the best way to go, but we kind of like what you had to say there, and maybe we can add that into this, and we'll add what you say into this, and now we've got a really strong direction going forward. This is the solution, right? And it's brought from different opinions that then crafts something that we can all agree on. And then if we go forward, it doesn't work, well, all right, back to the drawing board. But again, with disparate voices participating, something better happens, right? We don't have to be afraid of that. It's not either or. It's just, I have an idea, and he's got an idea, and she's got an idea, and they've got ideas, and we're going to talk about them all, because we got a problem to solve. That's what we need to do. That's just what liberals do, all right? This being like this doesn't work. And now it's become violent. So, let's let some truth come in and see where it takes us. All right? Get on a shared path forward. So anyhow, I guess that's it. We went a little long today. But that may happen, I guess, if we're going to be talking about the one before, the Monday's reading before. So try to hooking them both together, integrating them together. So anyway, so go out and master your fate today. And over the next few days, we're going to have the 22 energy tomorrow for the day, and let's see what we can do that's profound. All right? So thanks so much for watching. I started a new series. It's not going to be every day. It's going to be Guidance on the Path is what it's going to be called, over on Medium if you want to check that out. There's I'm still doing the magical forecast for most days, usually Monday through Friday. I don't usually do it on the weekends, but because I'm getting ready for Esoteric Influences. The newsletter is going to come out on Sunday. If you want to sign up for that, go over to the blog. It's just in the side panel, just toward the top. Put your email in there, and you'll get the Esoteric Influences and the binder for the week in your inbox on Sunday, so you can have that ahead of time. That's just the only advantage. And then we'll meet again on Sunday for the Esoteric Influences. I'll do the video for it. It'll also go up on the blog. Let's see. There's some spell casting information that I've been doing over on Patreon. If you want to join me over there. It just costs $1 to do that per month. And I guess you can do it for a whole year now or some such thing. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to any of that. I just post over there. And if you want to look at stuff over there, you can. Some of it, though, is locked to patrons and unless I set it to public. Some stuff I set to public. But some, like the spellcasting stuff, if you want to see that, then it's a little more focused than the magical forecast is. And so if you're interested, if you work magic, you might want to be interested in that over there. You'd have to become a patron, though, to see it. So anyway, if you do, thank you. Again, it's just $1 a month. So you have to set something. And I've done various things. I've done higher tiers. I've done 3 tiers. I've done donation. Now I just oh, the heck with it. Just set it at $1. That's what it is. There's no tiers. You know, it's just if you want to support my work. It just goes to help defray some blog costs and stuff. So that's there. There's also a PayPal thing that you can see that on the side of the blog there too, on the side panel. It's there too. It's in the shape of a teacup. It's a tip cup. Anyway, if you want to help support the blog, you can do that. It just defrays the costs that I have associated with it, just to keep the blog going. Anyway, there's that. But anyway, links are below the video here to where I am. If you want to follow me anywhere, if I see it, I follow back. So anyway, thanks so much. And I guess that's it. Wear a mask if you go out around anyone at all, whether you're inside or out. You breathe, you have it, you're going to shed it. So, don't think you're safe outside. You're not. You need to have a mask on if you're around other people. So let's mask up and be safe and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.